Hey guys, welcome back to my Hypermotard. So guess what? I'm here at my dealer, first service, 9,000 mile service. I got some tips and tricks for you guys to make sure that these guys do the complete list. 9,000 mile service. Kind of excited about it, especially because I don't have to pay for it. And I go over that in a minute. How do you, when you bring your bike to a dealer, how are you 100% sure that they're even going through the list? According to the list for the 9,000 mile service, it's approximately 26 things that they need to go over. Some of those things that you can look at and just say, oh, yeah, it looks okay. Other things, a little harder to do that. So I got some tips for you guys. Something a mechanic friend of mine told me. He worked on bikes for years. He eventually opened his own shop, and he told me the tips and tricks of things you should do. Yeah. So one of the things is, just because you're paying a lot of money to have your service, it doesn't mean they're going to complete the service 100% like you think they're going to do. So, and of course, no one's ever going to go over your bike like you would. If you're your own mechanic, hey man, congratulations. I don't have the skills. I mean, I can do little things, but I can't do the major things like valves and all the big things that need to be checked on these bikes. I just never been mechanically inclined up like that. And plus, I'm not really interested in doing that. I don't mind paying someone to do it, but again, congratulations if you know how to fix your own bike. So for us people that take our bikes to the dealer and have it serviced, let's go over a couple of things. First of all, when did the light go on? I was under the assumption that what happened was, the manual, of course, doesn't explain crap sometimes, but basically says at 9,000 miles, your first service is due. So I was under the assumption that at 9,000 miles, you get a little red light that goes on and it's due. But what was interesting is actually at about 8,822 miles, I got a countdown in yellow on the left side of the lower screen at 500 miles. So what happened was, it doesn't stay on. You turn the key on and it probably stays on, 15, 20 seconds, and then it goes away. But the interesting thing is that the countdown, it doesn't go 499, 498, 497. It actually goes by hundreds. So next time every time you turn it on, it'll still be 500, even though you've been riding. As soon as it's 200 is when it started counting down by 50. So, and then finally what happened was at 9,322 miles, that light went on, the red light, and that stays on. That's a little red wrench that says you need service, and it'll stay on. So now let's go over, I'm going to go over some of the list. I'm not going to go over the entire list. There's 26 items on there. And just to give you an example, okay, these are some. Check technical updates and recall. Check brake disc and wear. Change if necessary. Check the proper tightening or brake caliper bolts, brake disc, flange screws. Check frame to engine fastener tightening. Check the proper tightening of the final drive front and rear sprocket nuts. Visually check the front fork and rear shock for CO leaks. Check rubber points, clearance, freedom of movement, and positioning of hoses and electrical wires. And of course, lubricate the levers and handlebar and pedal control. That's kind of important. Of course, at the end is the final test, road test for motorcycle safety. We can check the ABS, DTS, electrical fans, and idling. So yeah, it's like I said, it's a long list, but how are you going to make sure that they go over all this stuff? Well, the tips that he gave me were actually pretty good. Mechanics are human, man. They're just like you and I, and they're, some days they have good days, some days they have bad days. They got argument with their spouses, or they don't feel good. They're busy as hell inside, the time of day, and a big one, if the service manager's not there, that's a red flag to maybe bring your bike on another day. It's kind of weird the way that works, but like this guy told me, like when he said he wasn't there, and he would just show up to the shop, everything was delayed. The guys were doing their own thing, and they were throwing things and loud music, and and that, come on, they're human, man. They're just like us, and I've done it in my day. When my supervisor wasn't around, I acted like a fool, but they're just human. They're good guys. They just they just like everybody else. They kind of have to be supervised. So those are the things to watch out for. So the tips I'm going to give you guys are the same tips he gave me. Just to give you an example of how this works, to make sure that you get the best service, to make sure that these guys are looking out for you, and to make sure that you become a priority over everybody else around. It's kind of interesting the way this works, but it does work. So first things first is number one, don't just leave the bike at the shop. I know everybody's busy. We're all, everybody has a life, and not everybody can sit around. I've got 3 hours to kill here. I've got nothing else to do. It's my day off, so I'm actually going to stay here, maybe do some work, and of course do this video. And the reasons why I would not leave my bike. First of all, according to the estimated time, they tell me anywhere from 2.5 to 3 hours. So if I'm not here, I can guarantee I'll probably get a call in about 3 or 4 hours and say, hey, man, your bike's ready. And I'm thinking, well, I guess that was money well spent because it took them 3 hours to do the job. But how much you want to bet that probably in about an hour, hour and a half, they can be done with this bike? And why you don't leave your bike there? You're not a priority. You're not there. They don't have anybody to really check in. They're not about to call you and ask you certain things where if you were here, there was a little issue, they can just bring you in and I'll give you an example of that. It's kind of interesting. So the differences are by waiting, number one, you become a priority. And by being a priority, because if the service manager's there, he knows you're outside, you're hanging out, you're working, whatever, you're in the shop, he knows that you're here. And by staying, he's going to make sure that your mechanic, the guy that's working on your bike, is on your bike, not doing other little projects. And I'll get to that in a minute. So number two is schedule your appointment first thing in the morning. For example, my appointment Wednesday at 10 a.m. So they open at 9, but service doesn't open till 10. So they open at 9. They get all the bikes out, and I'll show you what I mean. They have a lot of bikes to get out. That's the whole shop. That's my bike right there, and it's early in the morning. It's actually 9:30 in the morning, so I'm early. I've already been checked in. It's just a matter. He said he's waiting for one more of his mechanics to come in, which is probably the guy that's going to work on my bike, and then we'll get started. The other reason is if you schedule it later in the day, well, what happens is at about 11, 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, later on during the day, you get all kinds of people coming in here. This is a busy place. And most places are. You get all kinds of people coming in here with the smallest problems, like, hey, man, you know what? My mirror's loose for some reason. I think I stripped the nut on there, or I just bought this chain. Is there any way you guys can install it? Or I got a flat tire. Just a whole bunch of little things that people come in with. So the guys that are working on the bikes, what do you think? Especially if I'm not here, what do you think happens? Um, the service guy, his priority becomes getting these little guys out of here. Your service is going to get done no matter what. So he pulls the mechanics off of your bike to get the little guys done. 15 minutes there, 20 minutes there, another 30 minutes there. Next thing you know, what happens? Your mechanic is delayed on your bike. He's being pushed. So what do you think that list of 26 items? Do you think he's really going to go through that list? He's going to eyeball your bike and just say, yeah, this looks fine. But the chances of him going through that list in detail is very unlikely. That's this guy, when he told me that, I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It really does, because I was at a shop years ago when he was doing my dirt bikes and stuff, and it's nonstop, the things that people come in with. And it was me. I would come in sometimes, hey, I got a flat tire. And I was always his priority because he knew me, and he would let off whatever he was doing, and he'd get it done for me within whatever time. But I always became a priority. The other thing to really try to avoid is to come in on a Saturday. And I'll give you the reasons why. And Saturday is actually the worst day that you can bring your bike in for service. And the reasons why are you're never going to be the priority. No matter what time you show up, it doesn't matter, because Saturday is the shop's busiest day to sell bikes. So their priority is to get customers in and customers out. But what happens when you buy a bike? I mean, we've all been there. You want to get the hell out of there. You're frustrated with finance. You're frustrated with just being there and haggling or whatever the problem is. And you just want to get the hell out of there, right? So, you come in and then of course the bike goes from the floor over to the service area, so they can fill it up with gas, get the things that need to be ready, the battery. So basically, as a buyer, you become a priority, not the guys you have in their bike service. So what happens again? There's multiple bikes coming out of the service places, and again, the mechanics go through the same thing. They're working on bikes. They're rushed to get the new guy out, so they got to fill the gas. They got to do the bike check. So that's a good half hour, 40 minutes, or whatever it is, to get that client out. So what happens? Again, they're delayed on your bike. And again, what happens to that list? The chances of going over that list thoroughly is very unlikely again. So I would never, personally, never bring my bike on a Saturday. And I'll tell you, some of these other tips that he gave me I mean, they're kind of common sense, really, but um, be cool. Be cool to the mechanics. These guys are good people, man. They're rushed sometimes, and I've been in those kind of jobs where you constantly one after another, you just rush and they're like shit, you know. But they're good people. They really are good guys. And again, the best thing you can do is be nice to them, man. Ask them how their day is going, and just be real courteous to them. That's one of the things you can do. Is always, you know, it goes a long way just being nice to someone. The other thing is, by staying there, you're not just a number. You're an actual individual. You're a person. When you drop your bike, you leave it there, and you take off. You're just a number, man. You're the next guy that's going to pick up his bike at 3 or 4 o'clock, whatever the time is. So you're not definitely not going to be a priority that way. So another tip that works really well is, you know, it's cheap. Bring a box of donuts. Give it to the service guy. Tell him, hey, this is for all you can. Bring a bag of bagels. Something that's super cheap. And you know what? You're going to stand out. You're going to be the guy that when you come in, hey, make sure this guy gets help. It's the right service. So yeah, that kind of stuff goes a long way. So it's interesting. I'm take a little break because the guy came out, got my bike, and you know, here I am. Good morning, man. How you doing? Messing around with him and stuff. I talked to him about the things I needed done. And again, it's a person. You become a little bit more of a, I don't know, you're a human being. You know, like not don't be a number. You know, talk to these guys. They're good people. And now I got the ins and outs. Like I told them to check specific. I'm going to go through something with you guys that's kind of a tip to make sure that they do go through that list. And that's exactly what I just did with him. So pretty neat the way it works, man. You know what I always say? Just kill him with kindness. You know that'll be returned in 100 ways. Let's go over that list. Number one, be informed. Don't be that obvious guy that just comes in and just I don't know anything about what you're gonna do, but I know the bike needs service, so I'll pick it up sometime tonight. Don't be that guy, because I'll tell you what, they're gonna do the bare minimum to your bike. You know, if you don't care, they don't care, and they're just gonna do their job. But again, the chances of going through a complete list like this, it's not likely. So be really informed. I mean, like come in and know the list. You know, it doesn't take long. You don't have to memorize it, but just know the list. Pick out certain items on that list and ask them about those items. So what that does is that makes the service guy and the mechanic aware that you know this guy knows what we're supposed to check on this bike. It's not just like he's dropping it, and on top of that, he's waiting out there. So you're going to become a priority that way. And even if you don't know crap about this list, you're not a mechanic. I'm not a mechanic, but I can figure it out. But if you really are that bad that you don't know, pretend you do and just mention some things. And I'll give you an example of how this works. When I did it in the back with this guy, it's actually pretty neat the way it works. And this is the tip I got from that other mechanic that I was telling you about. He's a good guy. But anyway, so things like you do things like ask specific things on that list. For example, um, you know that the on the list is greasing the levers. Now, most of the time they're going to go and look at it and say it's clean, it looks good. Do you really think they're going to grease the levers? If they're in a hurry, 100% they will. But how do you want to make sure they do? Well, number one, be informed, and the other thing is basically, you know, when he brought me back there, what I said to him was, hey, you know what? I just installed these levers like 5 months ago, which I did 6 months ago, whatever it was. And I said, I haven't greased them since. Can you? And I have actually, but I just want them greased again. Why not? Because it's part of the service. I said, can you make sure that you grease them? And he goes, oh, absolutely, man, absolutely, no problem. Yeah. Is there anything else you want me to do? So what did I do? I mentioned something else off the list. I said, hey, you know what? I brake pretty hard. I've been going through the canyons and stuff. I've been using the front brake really hard. Can you just make sure that those pads are doing well? I know you guys check them, but you know, if there's any way that I can see them. So what did you say? You know what I'll do? I'll take them off and I'll bring them to you. So interesting how that works, huh? So I bet before what they do is I doubt they even take it off. They probably just look at it and you can tell. I mean, I can look at it and see that if they're not worn. Another thing I asked them, which is very unlikely that this is something they'll check, the motor mounts, basically the frame fasteners and things like that. So I say, hey, you know what? Basically, I just kind of put stupid and I said, so how often did these things really come loose? I mean, did they mechanics come in and go, actually, yeah, we've had some bikes, and he goes, I'll make sure I'll torque them all down. So what does that mean? I gave him kind of like the input, like, hey, I know that this needs to be done, and this guy knows that I know. So what are they gonna do? He's gonna 100% check that. Now this next one's funny because what are the chances they're gonna, they're supposed to check the hoses, the positioning of all, how they're like gathered together to make sure that there's enough play. What are the chances that they're actually going to go through that? So what I did is I said, you know what, I'm thinking about getting these. I showed them those indicator blinkers that are supposed to go like on a fork. And I said, hey, I'm thinking about getting those, but I've been looking at is there enough room? I'm out. I want to make sure that all the wires aren't too tight and anything like that. So make sure there's enough room. So what did he tell me? He goes, I'm going to take things apart in the front to make sure there is enough room, and I'll bring you back here when I'm done, so that I can show you how the wires is. Interesting how that works, huh? So he's going to make sure that everything's the way it should be, which is, I'm not going to say that these mechanics don't do their jobs. They do. They obviously do. But, just like I had my days at work and I still do, where I'm not in that mood to do things 100%. We're human, man. Everybody has it. And I don't want that to be the guy on my bike today. So I'm just going to, kind of align my ducks in a row, and he'll see that, and hopefully he'll go from there. Obviously he knows I'm informed about this. And another thing I asked, of course, was the air filter, which they're supposed to go over the air filter and change if dirty. Okay, so it's not hard to kind of like look at an air filter and not have to take things apart or just say you look at it. I don't know. Look, I'm not doing these guys' job. I don't know. But how do I make sure that they are? I asked about it. I said, hey, how often do these filters need to be changed, with this kind of mileage? And he goes, well, what I'll do is I'll take it out and I'll show you. Isn't that cool? You get an idea how this works. It's not like you're badgering these guys. It's not like you're being rude. All you're doing is asking intelligent questions, and they're going to do their job, and you're going to make sure of that. And that's basically how this works. So basically, just being an informed customer. That's all you're being. You're like I said, you're not being rude to these guys. They are great people, but you're just making sure they do their job, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. And again, be informed. The chances are a lot more likely that they're going to do the complete list rather than just kind of overlooking a lot of things. So, if you're one of those guys that likes to leave your bike, maybe because you don't have time, that's fine. But I tend to stay here for those reasons. If there's a problem, I'm here. A lot of the things he's going to do, if I wasn't here, how do I know he's even there? He's even doing it. What's he going to do? Call me and say, hey, your filter's okay? No, he's going to do that. It's going to be on the list at the end of the paper saying the filter was fine. But I never saw it. I want to be here to see it. I don't know, man. Am I being too anal about this stuff? I don't think so. It's just me. I like to make sure that my stuff is done. I take really good care of this bike. I love this bike. And if this is one of the big services, I want it done, man. I don't want to make you my job. So just be that guy that stands out. By bringing them donuts, I guarantee the next time you come in with one of those small problems, they're gonna look at you and say, "Get this guy in." You will be remembered. You're not just gonna be a number. So remember, guys, I'm in no way, talking crap about these guys. They're good people, but everybody has their day, including us. So I hope you guys learned something. These are just tips and tricks, things I do to make sure that the list gets done. If you're one of those guys that works on your bike, man, I wish I was you and I knew more about this stuff. I can't. If I take something like, do valve jobs, I guarantee I'll be left with like 5 screws left, wondering where the hell they came from. So basically, I'm good. I'm good after this service till I hit 18,000 miles. Of course, I'm not going to wait that long to do my whole change. I'll probably do it at 4,000 or 4,500. I'm actually amazed. I've got probably about, I would say, probably 50 something hundred on these tires right now. And again, I've been mostly commuting. I haven't really been doing canyons, probably once or twice, but that's what really kills the tires. But commuting, I'm actually surprised how long these tires last. It's pretty good actually. One of the cool things about a service like this to me is free. Well, actually not really. I kind of already paid for it, but just to think that I have 6 of these services, not a penny out of my pocket because I've already paid the $2,200. So, if you guys want to know more about that, go to my Q&A video. I'm glad I got that plan now because With this money, I don't have to keep spoken out every time I bring the bike in. I have two mechanics working on my bike because it's not that busy in the morning. And like I said, later it's a whole different world. But in the morning, that's what happens sometimes when you schedule yours. I'm the first one today in the middle of the week, Wednesday. So they're busy, but they're not like going crazy out there. So but yeah, they're gonna have two guys on there. So that's actually really good. Okay, so check this out, guys. Mechanic just took me back there, showed me the filter. Actually, doesn't even look bad at all. The spark plug, he changed it and showed me the cables. Cables look nice and loose. Everything looks good. Yeah, so I mean, he took the extra time to go over the stuff with me, and that bike is torn apart, man. So I know he's going through that list. And the other thing he did was he re-greased the levers. It shows brand new grease on there, and man, these little tips work. I don't know, guys. So that's it. So tell me what you guys think. Subscribe, give me a thumbs up, tell your friends, share the video, and comment below because I want to know what you guys think. Anyway, over and out. See you guys next time.